This is Aline from MasterYourWeb. You're watching HTML tutorials for absolute beginners, and in this video we will be discussing about different types of inputs. Okie dokie, so I think that I've mentioned the fact that we have quite a few input types. So far we have talked about the input type text and also about the input type submit. But in this video we will go through the other most important types of inputs. So the first input is gonna be the input type radio, okay? So input type radio actually behaves like radio buttons in the sense that you will have multiple values to choose from, and out of that you basically can choose only one value, okay? So let's actually see how this is gonna be put into practice. Alright, so for that we will create the form. So basically what we would like to do right now is actually present like a few animals inside the input, and out of that animals we will have the option to choose only one animal, okay? This is gonna be our small exercise. So in order to do it, we will create our input. So it's gonna be input type radio, okay? Then we will have a value of dog. Inside of it we'll have the text of dog, and basically we will do the exact same thing for, let's say, cat and let's say mouse. Not really sure who would prefer a mouse as a pet, but still. And then we have a cat and a mouse. Alright, let's actually see what we've done. Alright, so this is basically our input type radio. One thing to mention over here is the fact that previously I mentioned the fact that only one value at a time can be active. However, in our case, apparently all of those three options are active. That's because of the fact that each input type radio is not aware of the fact that we have two more other input type radios. Alright, so in order to make this happen, we will need to give them a name, and the name is gonna be the same for all of those values. So we'll have like a name of animals, okay? And we will actually copy this guy and paste it over here as well. And now, ta-da! Only one input at a time can be active, which is pretty nice, okay? And the main difference was the fact that we have added the property name of animals to all of those. So that's basically our first input. Our second input is gonna be input type checkbox. So checkbox in a way is similar with the input type radio, but we actually have a difference. And the main difference is gonna be the fact that while on input type radio we only have one value selected at a specific time, when we have input type checkbox we actually have the possibility to select multiple values, or actually to not have any values at all selected, okay? Because if you look again into the browser, like even if we click again on the mouse, we cannot just unselect it, alright? So basically every time here we will have a value selected, alright? But let's actually build our checkboxes. So we'll have like an input type is equal to checkbox. We'll give it a name of let's give it a name of dog, okay? And basically we'll translate these values into checkboxes, okay? Okay. And we will do the same for cat. And for the mouse the same. Okay, let's try to save it. Okay. Basically what I will do right now is actually wrap those into a div so that we make sure that they are on a new line, okay? Okie dokie. So these are basically our checkboxes. So you can see that we have the option to select multiple values at the same time, or actually have no values selected at all at a specific time. One thing over here, when we are dealing with the form, it's gonna be really important to specify the value of those elements, because basically this text is gonna be the text that will appear on the screen for the users. However, the real value is gonna be this one, And what I mean by real value is gonna be the fact that that the value itself will be actually processed by the server or actually by the JavaScript if needed. Okay, so in theory, like this text, it's gonna be monopoly money. Okay, I mean, you can see it, you can feel it, but it's not like real money at all. The real money is this one. Okay, value is equal to mouse, cat, dog. Okay, and what I mean by that and how to prove it, I will create like an input type submit. Alright, so actually after creating the submit button, if we for example select like a dog and submit, we'll have the property animals of dogs. Okay, we won't have this property set up because we haven't set the name for them, but still, like over here, if we basically delete the value and hit refresh and select like an animal, for instance mouse, we basically don't have anything. I mean, we have like animals is equal to on because it detects the fact that we actually have a submitted input on, but we actually don't get the real value out of that. Next, our third input is gonna be the input type password. And I think that you remember in the previous form that at some point we entered some fake username and password similar to a login form. Those kind of login forms are basically presented on most of the websites, and I think that you've noticed that when we start typing the password, you cannot basically see the content of the password. That's basically what we want, and that's like the required behavior that we should have. And that is done through input type password. And the way we construct an input type password is something like this. So we create like a div and we write input type password. Okay, we actually save it, and boom, whenever we start writing something in it, you can see that we are basically presented only with dots. So that's pretty nice, and also it's pretty good for security reasons, of course. Another input is gonna be the input type reset. All right, and that input is gonna be just like a button that when you click it, it's gonna set the form input to their default data. So basically, let me show you what I mean by that. I'll create a new div in which I'll create 2 inputs.
Six and a half hours later.
Alright, so I have basically created 2 inputs. Both of them are type text, and I've added some default values, which is gonna be my name. Okay, and I have added the input type reset. So these are basically the inputs, and then we have the reset button. And I think that this text is extra. Probably I missed something. Maybe the text is not necessary. Okay, so we have the input type reset. Now let's say that we want to add something more over here and over here as well. All right, and basically every time we click on the reset button, we are presented with the default values of the form, which is going to be this one and also this one. And if we actually don't add values and write something and hit reset, basically the form elements will clear out. So that's pretty nice. Our next input is going to be input type hidden. Input type hidden is a bit trickier and a bit different than the other inputs so far, and its main purpose is to store some additional data that the user don't need to see. For instance, if you buy something online, you will be presented with a form in which you would specify like, okay, what you need to buy, for instance a bike, what's the quantity of that, for instance 1. But then actually probably we would like to store also some other data, for instance the user ID or something similar, whatever. And we basically don't need the user to know that we are actually storing the user ID, and also we don't need the user to actually see that we are using the user ID or something like that, because it's gonna be irrelevant for the user. Alright, that's when the input type hidden comes into play. And the way we do it is gonna be something like input type hidden, and with the value we can have something like this, some random value, okay? And I think that as you might have guessed, we cannot actually see the input value, and we cannot see it here, but also when we go into the developer tools, we cannot really see it over there as well. And our last input is going to be the input type file, okay? Input type file basically lets you upload the file to the server. That actually has like a lot of use cases. For instance, you would like to upload a photo or like a document or whatever, basically, and that's being done through input type file. And the way we construct the input type file is pretty simple and straightforward. We just write input type file, and there you have it. This is gonna be the one basically, and over here I will choose like an image, and over here we have like the confirmation of the fact that we have added an image over there. All right. So those were basically all of the inputs that I wanted to present right now. And for our exercise, we will need to build a form. So we will have like the first name, the last name, we will have like a gender, then we'll have the drink preferences, okay? Then we would like to upload the file with our favorite drink, and over there we have two buttons. So we have a submit button, and then we have like a reset data button. However, because I don't want this video to be too long, we will do the exercise in the next video. We'll see you then. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed the content and if you consider that it's at least 1% relevant, then please leave a like, a share, and subscribe to the channel for more content. We'll see you on the next one.